Why don't we go next to, let's go to Ricky Allen from Iowa. Ricky Allen from Iowa, you're on the air. Ricky, you from Iowa, you've got to unmute and then we'll be able to hear you and talk.
Hey David, what's up? How are you?
There you are. How are you?
No, I'm actually Ricky from JA, which is Jamaica.
Oh, from Jamaica. Okay. I guess it must be some kind of lowercase j that looks like an I.
No, it's J, it's capital J. Yes. This is my second time
Okay.
calling in. I was actually a first Jamaican caller.
You were, I remember
Um,
that.
okay, cool. So what I wanted to ask though is, of lately, um, I'm starting to get extremely concerned with the political dynamic on the left,
Yes.
in which, because at one point, I do not want to call any name, but there are certain people, there are certain individual or commentator on the left, which I think are becoming very counterproductive towards a political ends, in which I think they view politics in such a, what do I say, idealistic framework,
Hmm.
and not so much of a pragmatic framework. And that, in my opinion, in which, how do you think we can be more pragmatic and ensure that our ideology, our form of leftism, come to fruition? And because those commentators I see will lead you more into a right wing direction and not so much of us obtaining the political goal in which
That's
we
very
want.
interesting. This is a critique I've had of some of the left. Now, I'm curious, Ricky, are you talking about politicians or media people that you believe are falling too far towards idealism rather than pragmatism?
Oh, media people,
Oh,
political.
really?
Because honestly, at one point, my introduction to leftism was basically Kyle Kulinski.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, right now, I do not listen to Kyle Kulinski.
Wow.
I think his approach to politics is extremely silly and counterproductive.
Because
So
you
more
think
like,
you're saying he's too idealistic and not pragmatic enough?
that's exactly what I'm saying, and Jimmy Dore also, their way of viewing politics, I think, lead people to a bit more, um, when they try to equivocate the left or the Democratic Party and the Republican Party like they're the same. Or when you have Jimmy Dore saying that the reason why people does not have health care is because of AOC, like those stuff makes us, make the left, in my opinion, right? Not as productive as we want it to be, if
See,
you get
that's
what I'm
interesting.
saying.
I think that, I don't know the Jimmy Dore stuff. I think Jimmy's operating in a different sort of universe. I'm more familiar with Kyle's views. There's a difference between useful idealism to kind of set the goal in a reasonable way versus counterproductive cynicism. So this is a very limited experience because I really don't watch other shows like mine. I've seen a few Jimmy Dore clips over the last 2-3 months when we talked about his attacks on me or whatever. Jimmy Dore right now I would characterize as counterproductively cynical and full stop. With Kyle, I'd need to see the examples you're talking about, but in my experience, one of the differences between Kyle and me is that he certainly is more idealistic and I'm more pragmatic, but I think there's a real value to idealism because if you have only pragmatists, you get into a vortex of only focusing on incrementalism. And I think that having the idealism as part of it, as long as it doesn't get you beyond being willing to accept steps in the right direction,
Mhm.
I think
I
idealism
do.
is valuable.
Yeah, I do agree with idealism.
Yeah,
It's valuable, but you have to be idealistic and pragmatic at the same time.
I completely
That's what,
agree. And what I'm hearing you
because I
say,
am sure,
you're
I
saying
am sure
Kyle,
with you.
yeah, you're saying Kyle
I
is
am
idealistic but not pragmatic enough.
Yes, because I am sure that you're probably an idealistic person too, but
Certainly.
however, you will see that in order for you to get a certain end or obtain a political end, you have to um, be a bit more pragmatic. There, because as I said, there's nothing wrong with being idealistic.
Yeah.
It's how do we get that idealism? We have to be pragmatic. So
All right.
that's
Well, I
all I have.
think, Ricky, I think your critique is well understood and you've made it respectfully, and I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
It was
Ricky
nice
from
talking to you
Jamaica.
again.
By the way, how are things okay in Jamaica right now?
Yeah, man, we're doing pretty good here.
Good. All
Yes.
right. All right. Ricky from
Thank you.
Jamaica. Hope to hear from you again. Let's go to a quick break. Sorry I wasn't able to hear from everybody, but we will take calls again, and I hope to hear from you next time.